Did you know that by creating and sharing just one single link, we can actually give people access to many other links? In this video, we are going to take a closer look at this one single link because this is something not many aspiring children's authors know about, but that can be so incredibly helpful and powerful when it comes to sharing about our work and our beautiful children's book. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the creator of Children's Book University. I create videos specifically for children's authors, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my weekly videos. In this video, I'm going to share with you what this one link is that gives us access to many other links, why we might need such a link, where to use and share this type of link, great examples of what places this one link might lead to, where to create your own, where whether you have a website or not does not matter, and an incredible alternative we can use if you do have your own website. Now, right about now, you might be wondering, Eevi, a link that leads to multiple other links? What in the world are you talking about? So let's get that out of the way right away, because up until a few years ago, I didn't know about this either. So this right here is an example of one such link that leads to this page that holds a number of other links of mine. Each of these gray bars is a button that, when clicked, leads to a website. For example, the first button here leads to a fun quiz I created for my readers to see if they have what it takes to write a children's book. The second button leads to one of my free resources that helps aspiring children's authors to find their own best-selling story idea. And the third button leads to a Forbes article that I was featured in. So by providing others with one single link, I am able to lead viewers to a page that holds a number of my other important links that I feel are relevant and important to the visitor. The concept behind it is this: if we could provide or share only one single link with others, which one would be most relevant or most beneficial both to you, the author, and the viewer? Our answer here would probably differ from each other, right? Depending on what is most important to us at any given point in time. Perhaps you'd think a link to your website would be most beneficial. Perhaps a link to your book's Amazon page. Or maybe it would be the link to your most recent interview. And so instead of having to pick just one single destination, using this option right here helps us diversify and share multiple links to those places on the web we deem most relevant and most important. That way, the viewers can decide for themselves what they'd like to see about us next, whether that's our website, our book, or a recent interview. So that right here is the concept behind using one single link that leads to many others. So let's look at the two main reasons why we would need something like this and how this concept came to be. Number one is convenience. If you don't have a social media account on platforms such as Instagram just yet, you might not know that most of the different social media platforms often only allow us users to add one single link. And so we users have to essentially constantly update this one link to reflect what we are talking about in our most recent social media post. And that's because places like Instagram, for example, don't allow us users to add a clickable link directly in a post. We can only add one clickable link to our profile. So then whenever we share about our newest children's book, we would want to make sure that one link in our bio leads to our Amazon page. But then the next day when we share about our newest interview, we would then want to make sure that that one link in our bio leads to that interview, right? Now, besides the fact that we would constantly have to change and update that one single link, the problem here is that if a week from now, if someone were to see our first post about our children's book and they then go to our profile, the link will have already been changed to something else. So there is just no way to keep this link both current and also apply to older posts. And that's why one single link that leads to a page that holds multiple links is so beneficial and a lot more convenient. Number two is having a bit more control. Another great benefit to such one link is that it gives us, the author, the opportunity to guide the visitor in what they see about us. We can essentially curate the content we would like them to see first, because if we were to simply share a link to our website, there are just so many different things to look at over there, right? And if a website visitor is looking for something very specific, most are not willing to take the time to search for it on our site. Just like us, most want to find things quickly and easily. And so that is why a button that is telling us exactly where it leads to is much easier and makes it very clear, just like I shared in my previous example with the different clickable buttons. Now, I've already sort of shared with you where these types of links could be used to be most beneficial, and that's on media platforms that often only allow us to add one single clickable link to our profile. And that will be places like Instagram and TikTok. Now, places like Facebook and LinkedIn, for example, allow us to add more than just one clickable link. But using one single link can still be beneficial here, especially if we have a lot of different places to share, but also want our profile to look clean and clutter-free. Now, let's look at some great examples of what kind of links we might want to include on those pages. The most obvious two are probably the link to our website and the link to our book's Amazon sales page. Here, remember, we will want to make sure to share our what I call clean Amazon link. If you don't know what I mean by that, you can refresh your memory by rereading about it in my book, or also watch my other video I created on that. I will add that link to the description below. It's important, so please don't miss it. Another great example is a link to our printables and fun extras that might come with our beautiful children's book. If you would like to know more about printables, how they can benefit you and your book, and how to create your own, I've added a link to a separate video of mine to the description below. Another great link could be to a possible book trailer. Again, if you'd like to know more about book trailers for children's books, I've added a link to the description below. Anything current that you feel deserves its own link, like a recent interview, for example, could be added here as well. Or if you have a public reading schedule, for example, you could add a link to an event calendar. If you have a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or TikTok account, you can create separate links to your profiles on those social media platforms as well. And if you have a newsletter that you send out regularly, like my weekly Sunday email, you can add the link to your sign-up page here as well. So really, if something has a link and you feel sharing it would benefit others, then you might want to consider adding it to that link page of yours. So now that we have looked at a few great examples, let's look at where we can create such link sharing pages. There's actually no shortage of services that allow us users to create a page that features multiple of our links. So here are just a few that are free, but also have paid options. The first one, and probably the most widely known one, is called Linktree. This is one of the earliest ones, if not the first one, and it has a free option as well as paid options that would allow us to brand it more or customize it more using our own images and colors. But the free version is absolutely enough, allowing us to add an unlimited number of links. Another such service is campsite.bio. This also has multiple different options, but again, the free option allows us to share unlimited links, so unless you feel like you'd like to brand your site, the free version is already enough. Another option is link.bio. That's not a typo, it's LNK. It also has a free option without unlimited links. This one also lets us embed music and videos, so if you have a book trailer to share, this might be a great option. And we have beacons.ai. This also provides us with unlimited links and has a free option. There are so many other services out there, so these options here are just a few. Sites or services like this are especially helpful when we don't have our own website. So if you don't have a website, these are fantastic choices. Now, in the very beginning, I mentioned that I would share an incredible alternative with you that we can use if we do have our own website. And that is to simply create and host a link sharing page on our very own website. Meaning if you already have a website, we can simply create an extra page, add our links to it, and then share the URL as our one link. And the reason why this is a fantastic alternative worth considering is twofold. One, Even if you may not know much about SEO or search engine optimization, just know that any traffic coming directly to our page, to our website, is always great for our website's SEO ranking. Meaning the more traffic in terms of website visitors comes to our site, the better it is viewed in the eyes of the search engines. Because if a website gets traffic, it tells search engines that your website must be relevant in some way or another. So your overall ranking is better. Now, what I just said here is of course very oversimplified. But again, the more traffic comes to your site, the better it is for your site. So instead of leading visitors to a link sharing site like Linktree and thereby increasing their SEO juice, we can lead visitors to our own site, thereby increasing our own SEO juice. And the second reason to use our own site is because this would provide us with complete design and branding freedom. Because remember that the free options I shared with you are quite limited in terms of design and branding choices and what kind of links we can add. In order to be able to add things like images, most of these options I shared with you would require an upgrade to a paid version. So placing a link sharing page on our own website would give us complete freedom. And to show you an example of such a link sharing page that is placed on an actual website, let's take a look at my own right here that can be found at eevijones.com/VIP, which is the link I share on most of my own social media profiles. My first button right here leads to one of my newest books. And instead of just showing a button with text, I uploaded an actual image of my cover here, providing visitors with something visual other than just a button. Next, I have a link to my YouTube channel, a button leading to my courses and other free resources, a button to my illustration template generator, so aspiring children's authors have a quick and direct way of getting to my free tool that calculates the illustration size for them. I also have a link to my book, How to Self-Publish a Children's Book, and a link to my other books. And at the very bottom, I have a super short bio where I share a sentence or two about myself, that I'm a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author, where I'm inviting others to sign up for my weekly Sunday email. So if we are placing a link sharing page on our own website, there are literally no limits in terms of what we can share. And so compared to the previous Linktree option I showed you at the very beginning of this video, this right here just gives me so much more freedom in terms of color and what I can add and share here and how it is represented. And if I wanted to, I could even embed a video right here and other fun things. But again, for this option, we would have to have our own website. Now, just really quick, if you don't have a website yet, but would like to see how you could create one without having to pay any monthly or annual hosting fees or the like, be sure to check out my author website studio, which would allow you to add such a link sharing option and could look something like this, where again, you can add images and videos and of course buttons for all your different links. I have added 2 separate links for you in the description below, one that goes directly to the author website studio and one that leads to a video sharing a bit more about this free website option. So if you were looking for a website option already anyway, make sure you check that out as well. By clicking just one single link, we can give anyone who clicks that one link access to all sorts of different places we think are important to share, be it our book link on Amazon, our website, our Instagram profile link, our book trailer, or resources that come with our beautiful children's book. And that one single link can be used and shared anywhere. Not only would this link allow us to curate what we are sharing with others, but it would also ensure that no matter what we are sharing on social media on any given day, whether that's our book or a giveaway or a recent author interview, that our one link in our profile always leads to all the information needed without us having to constantly switch out that link, by simply having that one link that leads to many. I really hope you found this video helpful and that it encouraged you to create your own one link, whether that's via a service like Linktree or as a page on your own website. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really truly encourages me to keep making free videos for you just like this one. Happy link sharing! Bye!